Are you looking for a podcast where you can hear from real people regarding their real dental drama? If so, then you've come to the right place. Join hosts Bethany Petty and Dr. Reena Kuba as we dive into the solutions we've created and the mistakes we've made while managing dental drama. Let's get started. Okay, so we are back for part 2 of team building events. I feel like we kind of teased our listeners with our last one and maybe even only dropped one idea. I can't remember, but I want to drop more ideas. So we kind of talked about the value of team building last time in team events and how you invest from a financial standpoint, but you also invest multiple times throughout the year. But I want to give the listeners a real flavor for what you do throughout the year and kind of some of the creative spins that you've put on things. So last time we talked about almost I would call it a loose calendar of what you do. So I want to kind of hit back on the calendar so that we build out a framework. And then I want to talk about each of those calendar-ish type events that you do and some of the variations that you've done of it. So early in the year, and my memory may be failing me on this, but I feel like Valentine's is our first one, but correct me if I'm wrong.
I usually do something in January when school starts back because I feel a couple of years ago, I remember some of the staff saying, the feel I got was they are so busy giving, you know, as moms or as, like the staff just, my son's getting this or my daughter's getting that. And I just kind of was like, are we taking time for ourselves? Mm-hmm. And maybe it was myself too going, I just feel like I'm run ragged by the end of the holiday season. And I'm like, you know what? So that's outside of the office. And then you add on the rush of Christmas break and all of that. So it's a lot. And my thought was to do, I think we would typically go for like nails or something that would just pamper the team. And my thought on that was do something for yourself because the holiday season has just come and gone and you've given everything you have to our patients during the holiday break and you've probably given everything to your family on the side and who's left who was not addressed and tended to was you.
Yeah. So recuperation time, rejuvenation time.
Right. So we usually did something in January and then I think this year will be 4th annual. I mean, total lack of creativity, but called it the Kuba Loves You Dinner. Mm-hmm. And I think that, too, was brought about by something someone said. And I was like, you know, does the team, a lot of the ladies on the team, do they have the opportunity or do they take the opportunity to go to a nice dinner? Mm-hmm. Now, I will tell you, I'm not a nice dinner type of person. I'm a picky eater. I don't eat a lot of meats and seafood, blah, blah. But I was like, but still, like to go to some place that you feel good walking into and you feel a little exclusive. So for anybody in the Dallas area there's a restaurant called Three Forks. And I think for me, one of our societies had a dinner there and I walked in going, I just feel very nice and fancy in here. Mm. And there's something to be said for feeling nice and fancy. Yeah. And my team especially, they're such chill, relaxed, lovely, lovely ladies that I've thought, you know, I doubt any one of them would take their time and resources to go have dinner at this fancy place.
Right.
And certainly are there fancier places? Yes, but it's one of the nicer places in Dallas to go have dinner. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to look into that. And we all go and have a Valentine's dinner. I think the other part of Valentine's was for a lot of the people that don't have a significant other mm-hmm. and to make them feel more special.
Like they still can participate in that holiday.
Yes. And so for all the, I'm sure there's the phrase of like the people who hate Valentine's Day and all of that. So this gives you a reason to feel loved as well. Mm-hmm. And so that was kind of the motivation, if you will,
behind adding the Valentine's. So you've got the New Year's one, Valentine's Day, and then from a calendar standpoint, what's usually your next one?
The next one was usually summer.
Yeah.
And we've done kind of like beginning of summer to say, hey, we're about to hit our busy season and I don't want to mentally lose any. I guess my thought was if I can say, hey, here you go. Here comes summer. We're about to work really hard. Let's do something for you. I think there's also in April, there's, isn't there either assistant week or administrative assistant? There's something in April. And I never commemorated that, and I still don't. In fact, this is the first time I'm so clued out. Apparently in October, it's hygienist week.
Yes.
This is the first time I knew about that. I've never known about hygienist week.
I know.
So now I was like, should I do something for my hygienist? And then I was like, no, because then that's going to tie me to doing something for somebody at some point, and I'm not going to get tied to. So I refused. I was like, I do enough. I'm not doing that.
Exactly.
So now it's almost like I cannot acknowledge assistant week.
No, because then you'd have to do it for the hygienist, and then you have to do it for your administrative. And
I think that was my problem in the past, where I was like, if I do this for the assistants, I'm going to have to do something for the hygienist, but I don't know when I would do that, because dumb me didn't realize that there was a hygiene week. And so I always kind of dodged the one in April and did something in June. Usually we do something at the end of the summer.
Yes.
To kind of rejuvenate, because in a pedo office especially, it's brutal. I've always done the state fair in Dallas. That's in September, October.
Yeah.
So the state fair was actually my original team building event from the inception of the office, when there was only 3 of us employed, and we took a day, because again, at the beginning of the office, we weren't doing anything else. So it was like, well, let's just go bond at the state fair. And since then, it's become a thing that I thought people were like, the state fair. Little known to me, the team looks forward. They can't wait for Office Fair Day. And I think I said this in the last podcast. It's a relatively inexpensive day. The fair is expensive, but when you go as a team and you're getting, 6 or 7 things to try, but everybody tries everything. So everybody's full, and the team doesn't really care if we ride the rides or play a game. They're happy enough, but they are interested in the food and being the ones to talk about the new foods, and then they go home to their families and they're like, oh, I got to try this, I got to try that. So to them, it's a really fun, important, big day.
And it's an annual tradition. I think that's one of the really fun things in your practice, is because it was all the way back to the beginning. I think even now you can still step into your break room and see all of the pictures from the past state fair, things that y'all have done. And so it is a strong tradition in the practice, which is really fun. So
yes, so fair days 1, and then for Christmas party, so we've always done a Christmas lunch and not a dinner thing, and so I've tried to stick with that. And we used to do Benihana. So again, not the nicest place in the world, but certainly not Chili's. So It's something a little bit up. And again, something that I think that the staff typically wasn't treating themselves to. And so that kind of became the tradition. And when I would say, hey, do we want to change it up? The feedback I always got was like, oh, no Benihana. Why are we not doing Benihana? Oh, no, we can do Benihana. I just didn't. Now, having said all of that, the pandemic year, we couldn't go to Benihana.
Yeah.
And so 2019 we did.
Right.
No, we didn't. I can't remember.
We did in 2019.
We did. Yes. And then in 2020, we'll get to what I did there, but it was still up in the air as far as reservations and the distancing and the masking. And if, for those of you guys who've been to Benihana with the hibachi stuff, it's like, especially our 2 tables, they pack us in together, and I was like, I don't want to make anybody in the team feel uncomfortable, and I don't know if the restaurant will, and all of these other parameters. So we did something different last year. We'll talk about that in a minute. And this year we're doing something different. Maybe next year I'll take it back to Benihana. I don't know.
Yeah, the pandemic broke that up enough that we kind of had to think outside of the box for it, and then we'll probably eventually circle back to it. So then from a calendar standpoint, you've got January, you do something, February, you do something. Those are pretty fixed, consistent. Early summer or right before summer. I know even one year we did, that may have been this last year, May, because we did more of a rain theme. So something before summer, and then something right after summer, September/October, and then Christmas.
And that seems like a lot for a lot of offices. The reason I do, because I love those things.
Right.
And so for my personality, I love being able to do that. And I'm not a super social person, so I don't do those things outside. But for me, I've got my own family, a couple of friends here and there, and then the office family. So for me, it's fun to do things with my office family. For people that are like, no, I don't want to do that, then I would say, maybe make sure you do something for Christmas, because I think there's a lot of people that don't. So make sure that one's special. I would say probably maybe 2 more. I think even if you did 3 things in the year, and then like little thing, there's a bunch of little things you could do. Like, for example, potluck. People love potluck in our office, and it's so funny to me that's something that's so enjoyed. But we were doing it once a month, and then now it kind of, after the pandemic, it tapered off. So I have to remember to include a potluck. But
and you guys just did a potluck. So that's one thing when I say team building events, like we just talked about when we kind of laid it out on the calendar, we're not including a lot of little things like potlucks. That doesn't sound like a team building, but it really costs you very little. It's other than the dish that you bring. And team members, I mean, y'all had a ton of fun creating really cool little Halloween potluck, dishes and things like that. And so it's just something that gets the team all on the same page. They have to communicate. They're having to figure out, what are you bringing? What am I bringing? And then to be able to kind of show off their fun dishes is exciting. And it is team building that cost you very little. And the team really did all the work, but they still enjoy it.
So, and when you say cost, I think that was my fear, was that the team would go, what? I've got to make food for everybody. But they enjoy it because of what you said. And we also do different themes.
Yes.
So we'll do like baseball theme potluck. And so everybody brings something like that. Or we'll do Mexican theme or Italian theme. And it's funny and fun to see the creativity, but even the conversation that generates during the potluck.
Yes.
Because everybody's kind of eating together. And who made this? Well, how'd you make this? Well, what was your recipe? Can I get your recipe? So it's like somebody from the front desk in the back that normally don't get to interact, but they're appreciating each other. And inevitably that leads to other conversations. Well, I got this recipe from blah, blah, blah. Oh, I didn't know you read that, or I didn't know about that. Or so it's like, it's just, we end up with, really good food. So everybody looks forward to potluck day. And like you said, it's a very simple, easy, we just say, hey, let's do potluck on this day. We have a sign-up sheet. And then we all kind of say, well, we haven't done this theme in a while. Or does anybody want to do something? We've done appetizer theme. That, to me, was my favorite, because you get all of these different appetizers. It's super filling. And then I have like 5 or 6 ideas for appetizers in my private life to go make. So,
and I will say for teams, so one of the things I think about with your team with something as simple as potluck is you guys have a really good culture already. And again, that didn't happen naturally. That happened with a lot of these things that we'll be diving into. You put effort into having a really good culture on your team. And so for practices out there that maybe either don't have a good culture or they've never thought about creating a good cohesive culture on the team, a potluck can be awkward. Right? Because you're like, I don't talk to these people. I would prefer not to talk to these people. We just kind of all come in, do our job, and go out. And so I think it's important that, let's say you start potluck. There may not be a natural like, oh, we're so excited about this. But you can find your most excitable person on the team, whoever it is, your sanguine personality or your one that is going to bring sparkles and fun and to this, and put them in charge of it and go, you know what, I'm really trying to infuse some fun into the office. I know you love fun. You're my most vibrant person on the team. Can you help me create excitement about this event? And that person will become kind of your counterpart in making something as simple as potluck fun. It is valuable because it is an opportunity to connect. So when we say team building events, it is a way for the doctor to show appreciation to the team, which those will be the calendar events that we talk about. But it is also a way for your team to get to know one another and to have a more cohesive environment. Potluck is great for that because of the conversations that you're just talking about. It is a chance to pause the work conversation and focus on this beautiful appetizer that somebody brought. So if you don't have that kind of culture, don't think that this doesn't apply to you. As a matter of fact, I would say it's even, maybe you just start with potlucks as a way to kind of get the team used to that kind of fun environment.
And then I would suggest maybe make it a theme. So get people's creative juices going. And also I would maybe make your sign-up sheet put on, because everybody's going to want to bring dessert, because that's easy to run to Kroger and grab some brownies. That's not what we're talking about. Yeah. It's got to fit the theme. Everybody else next, the easy one is grabbing ice. The next one's grabbing sodas. So I would put on there, depending on the number of people you have, and I would put, and the doctor, I would suggest always bring the main dish because that's going to be the most expensive. Like if we're doing a taco potluck, then I will bring the beef and then let somebody else, and depending on the number of people you have, but say it's a taco potluck, then I'm bringing that. Then you could assign one person, bring chopped onions. Next person, bring sour cream. Third person. Or if you've got fewer people on the team, okay, now, and I would try to be very mindful to make sure it's not more than $10 that person's spending.
Yeah.
And so just a little bit of thought into it like that and organize that on your sign-up sheet. And then also don't forget, we usually send a reminder out or 2 days before, 3 days before. Don't forget potlucks on this day, so everybody's prepared to do that. And it really needs to, the doctor needs to participate for sure.
I agree completely. I'm glad you said that.
Yes. And it's, I guess for me, my hesitation starting off would be like, well, are people going to bring things? It's almost kind of like, well, you don't really have to, but you really should.
Yeah.
So whatever vibe or way you need to get that out there. I do remember also one thing that was really fun in a previous practice I worked in, he would do kind of a potluck thing, but it would be a contest. And his office was big enough where he had like his dad would pop in and out to bring supplies to the practice. His father-in-law did the 401k stuff, so he would be in and out of the practice. And then we had an orthodontist next door. So these people would be the judges that we would...
Oh, fun.
Right. And so then we'd have a red food contest. And so you bring your red food and then you were judged on presentation, creativity, and taste. And then the winners would get like a $10 gift card here, whatever it was. So you could make it as fun as you want, or you could make it as basic as, hey guys, we're going to have potluck this day and it's going to be Christmas themed. Bring your favorite recipe from what you grew up eating and bring that and share that. And so just those are the little things that I would say be mindful of, but that is a great way to do a simple potluck.
Such a simple start. If you've not done anything from a team building standpoint, you could start with a few simple potlucks just to get to where when you actually graduate to something that's more like a Valentine's dinner that you're investing a lot of money in, it's not this real awkward event that you're trying to navigate. So
I will say, and as you're saying awkward, our Valentine's dinners can be kind of awkward, honestly, because part of me, the first year we did it at Three Forks, we had this gigantic room and they had organized the table, but we were all kind of far apart from each other. And like you could hear a pin drop in there. I'm like, what is wrong with everybody? Why is nobody talking? And I'm not the talker, right? So now I'm stressed going, oh gosh, I got to feel the silence. What can we talk about? What can we? And so for me then, that was note to self. Next time we are, and I had slips of paper that as you walk in, you pull your paper and you are assigned a seat based on your paper. So we're going 1 through 17 or 1 through 10, whatever it is. And that way it's not all the RDAs sitting together at the front desk together. We want to mix this up. And then some activity to be done. So I think one year I went and got, they were on sale at Michael's for like $8 and I bought 3 kits of paint your rock.
yes.
So like we were painting rocks while we were waiting for our food. I know the people at Three Forks thought we were insane. But that's what we were doing because I remember the first year being very awkward. So then now going forward, I start going, okay, well, should I have a list of questions that like my girls, my 8 and 9-year-old love to play? Would you rather? So would you rather be on an island with only apples to eat, or would you rather be, I think, what did we do? Would you rather be, on an island, or would you rather be skiing in your swimsuit? Which one would you rather? It's stupid stuff. But come up with a list and slips of paper there where everybody has to draw a slip of paper and share something. So if you don't have a real strong chatty Cathy on your team that will chat about appropriate things that everybody can be talking about, then I would say start off your team buildings or potlucks, whatever, with a topic.
Yes.
Something to talk about.
Yes. A little bit of preparation on that is going to make, even if you're worried about awkwardness and it doesn't turn out to be awkward, you didn't even have to pull out your topic. you've at least got it there where if the conversation stalls or if the conversation never starts, you're like, thanks for coming. I've got a conversation topic that we're going to get going. So you can always pull that out if there becomes a moment of awkwardness, or you can start with that. But it just takes a little bit of that preparation to remove the awkwardness. And I will say, it's likely going to be awkward if you haven't done team building events. Give yourself time and the team time to work through the awkwardness. It will get better. I mean, you can say this after years of doing it. These are things that you genuinely look forward to. And that's because the team has gotten really used to this as a part of our culture. So,
well, and I still to this day, just because I'm a weirdo like that, I still stress about, like, I'm super excited. I have an idea and I'm like, we can make this happen. I'll do the research. I'll book the room. I'll get it all on the schedule. We're talking it up. As I'm driving inevitably to every team building, I am sick to my stomach going, what did I just do? Because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's my event. I've got to be the host. I've got to be the one to be the da-da. And it's my team. Like, I should feel very comfortable doing that. And yet I'm like, oh Lord, like my associate just told me the other day and he was looking at me like, I got to tell you something. I'm like, what did you do now? And he's like, well, I won't be at the Christmas party. I'm like, what? Because he's the same one. He's the life of the party. And now I'm like, great, you're leaving me to do all of that. So now I've got to be the pep and rally and great job. And I can do it. I was just hoping not to have to, and now I'm going to have to. So I guess thanks for the heads up, so I can prep. So now I'm already, wheels are turning, going, okay, how or who and what am I going to make sure there's enough pep in the air? Because he's not going to be there. So,
and again, even hearing you say that, it's like, why put yourself through that, right? I could totally hear a listener listening to this going, well, then why even do it? Because the outcome of it is a very strong culture. And I think if any one of our listeners were to step into Dr. Kuba's office, you would realize there is a very strong culture. There's a loyalty there. I've got so many of my clients struggling right now to keep anybody on the team. And not that couldn't happen on your team, but for the most part, when we get somebody on your team and they make it past the 90 days, they stay. They don't leave. And that's because I think there's a really strong cohesiveness and culture on the team. So it is worth the investment and the of all of it.
I hope you didn't just jinx me.
I know. I'm here knocking on wood right now. So, okay. So we kind of talked about sporadic, potluck things, really simple starting points, but I want to hone in on two things on the calendar that I want to talk about all the variations that we've done. So, as you mentioned, January is kind of a pampering theme and lots of different ways that can go. Valentine's Day is more or less a nice dinner somewhere. And there's been a number of different things that you've done there. You mentioned in the last podcast the slightly different setting that you did with the rooftop and the Airstream camper that we all ate in, which was really different. But it was a nice dinner. So I don't want to really dive into those. I think those, hopefully listeners can kind of let their imaginations go on those. I want to focus in on, because I feel like the one right before summer, we've done a lot of different fun, kind of almost could be random things that people might not think of. So I want to talk about some of those. And then I want to specifically talk about your Christmas party last year, because you changed it up quite a bit. Where do you want to start? The one right before summer or the Christmas party?
Let's do the one before summer. You're talking about okay. So I'm gesturing to Bethany so I know which one she's talking about. And even when I was telling you, I know you two are like, what? What is the goal? And again, so how you even get the idea, I don't know. Again, I have a lot of harebrained ideas for when I'm not doing dentistry anymore, that I get mocked right and left, but I've got at least 3 working businesses that I'm ready to pitch on Shark Tank. Are they going to be money makers? I don't know, but
they're going to be fun.
They're going to be fun. So I was going through, I used to be the one before we had the toy tower who would go and buy the toys for the office for the prize bowl or whatever. And that was my job because I loved doing it. And Oriental trading is one that I love. Like, I could browse that all day and like look at these toys and want to play. And so they had these umbrellas. And I was like, umbrellas? Who would need like a dozen umbrellas? And I was like, It is. Like, I've seen it happen to the team, myself, my kids, where it's like it's raining and you're like, damn it, today's the day I don't have an umbrella. And I was like, what if we decorated umbrellas? Like, how much fun would that be? It's so random, easy. So really, I just need to find the place of where we're doing it. We could eat, and then we buy paint pens and markers and buy some sticky jewels, and we like decorate our umbrellas. And that way too, your umbrella's in your car, and in that inevitable moment where you're like, I wish I had an umbrella. Well, I do.
Yeah.
And then it reminds you. So like, say we decorated them in May and July it's raining, and you pull it out, and now you're going, this was kind of like we laughed at making umbrellas, but then we all like made our umbrellas together. And so we're all bonding over, hey, pass the paint and this and that. Oh, I like your creativity. You just, oh, I like that design, or where'd you come up with that? And then hopefully we're having a good enough time that in July, when you pull out your umbrella, you're like, we had such a fun day that day. And
Exactly.
oh my gosh, I remember they were laughing at me when I was doing this design, but it actually came out really well. Or, oh, I tried to make a puppy here. Oh my, well, that doesn't really look like a puppy. Remember when we laughed about that so that's what I was envisioning.
Yes.
Is that people would have a silly little memento. But where else are you going to decorate an umbrella?
Exactly.
Why else would you want to decorate an umbrella? But you kind of want to, because it's letting you create. And the other thing I've realized and thought too, when you are doing something creative, it just brings out a different side of you than what people at work may see.
Exactly.
And so that was kind of the whole thought behind it. And
so not many people, unless they're creatively, like that's what fills their tank up, most people don't engage in artistic, creative type things. So I feel like really any event that we could talk about on your calendar are things that the team might not naturally do on their own or invest their hard-earned money in. And so this was one of those, again, when you mentioned it, it was kind of a harebrained idea that the more we talked about it, we're like, it's fun and nobody's going to do it. Nobody's probably ever going to decorate an umbrella in their lifetime if we don't do it now.
Well, my husband's like, why do you think that is? Nobody wants to decorate an umbrella, dummy. Like, what? That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. And I was like, yeah, it's weird, but it'll be good. It'll be good. Well, so I ordered these umbrellas, which they weren't expensive, like, I don't know, $6-7 an umbrella, something like that. And of course, I didn't read the fine print. These umbrellas arrive, and they're child-size umbrellas. I was like, what did I just do here? And I've already got the paint pens, and I've already got this, and I've already booked the venue, and now, like, and then I thought, well, you know what? We'll decorate umbrellas for our children.
Yeah.
And for the one that doesn't have a kid, she's going to decorate an umbrella for her fur baby, or give it to her niece. I don't care. Or then you decorate one for the associate who has 3 kids. Like, help him decorate an umbrella for his kids. So it'll be fine. It'll be fine. So I ended up booking a room at a country club, a nice small little room, and we had breakfast. Mm-hmm. And it was optional. So by the way, most of my team building things, I think everything, all of my team buildings are optional.
Yes.
i.e., I'm not paying you to go. And I learned that through an office I worked for before, where he did like all of this stuff in this one day. And then he had 1 or 2 employees that were like, but don't we get paid for that? Because that's, and I
mandatory.
I wanted to go slap that employee. I was like, how dare you? He just took you shopping and bought you lunch and did all of these things. And there's no gratitude for that. And it's like, well, no, I'm appreciative of that. But I also was supposed to earn a paycheck today. And, I kind of see that too.
Right.
You're right. You were counting on that paycheck to pay your rent, and you were told to have fun instead. So I was very, wanted to protect myself, because if that happened to me, that would devastate me. I'd probably fire the person on the spot. And so, because that would hurt my feelings.
You wanted to avoid that at all costs.
Yes. So for me, even fair day, this is optional. And if you don't want to go, you don't have to. But it very much is, at least now, the culture is, why wouldn't we go?
Yeah.
If nothing else, at least my sanguines on the team.
Yeah.
They love it. They appreciate it. They don't want to miss the party. They want to have fun. And I try to find times that it's not affecting patient care time.
Right.
Because I don't want to lose that production. And I don't want, if it's a Monday that not everybody was working Monday anyway, so it wasn't going to affect your income anyway.
Exactly.
And then I tell them far enough in advance so that they know. Again, our team buildings are fun, so most people want to come. So we had, I think I just said, coffee and crafts with Kuba was the name of the thing. So they didn't know like the details, but they were like, okay, what is this? Well, at least I'll get breakfast out of it. And so I think the majority of the team showed up. I don't think anybody missed it.
Yeah.
And then we had a country club, like I said, a little room at a country club. So that cost me, I don't know, $300-400 for that. And probably by the time you paid for the umbrella and the supplies, maybe another $100. The whole thing was like $400.
Yeah.
But it was a morning of where we all like decorated our umbrellas, did it for our kids, had different themes, and it was just an enjoyable morning. We could all learn about each other's creativity. We had music going on somebody's phone, and it was just a good day. So it didn't cost very much, but the girls talked about that for weeks after.
Exactly.
And the pictures that came on our thread after that was like, oh, look, my daughter loved this. Oh, look at my kid with that. My kids are so happy and so excited. I think you couldn't come. And I had leftover umbrellas because I had ordered enough because I thought you were coming. Yeah. And you took the leftover 5 umbrellas that I had and I sent the paint pens home with you.
Oh, my kids spent hours out on the back porch. It was so funny when you were talking about not having an umbrella, you know, in this moment, and how you'll have an umbrella in the car. And sure enough, this week it was pouring down rain, and I had my umbrella that I was planning to use for my work, but my kids' school zone was backed up, and I was having to kick them out on the curb, or they were going to be late. They were going to have to walk, 3 blocks down the road to the school, and sure enough, my oldest had brought her decorated umbrella, and they all huddled under that little decorated thing, and she was so proud to show that off at school. And so and that's months later. I mean, that event was almost 6 months ago, 5-6 months ago, and that umbrella is still in full use. And so it's not just, I think that's an important thing to think about. It's not just at the time of the event, the team building, because sure, that was fun and everybody enjoyed it, but there's all this communication that happens afterwards about that event that people reflect back on, or all these fun pictures, and now we're exchanging pictures of our kids using these umbrellas. That is part of the team building. So it's a $400 investment that keeps on giving it for weeks, even months after the actual event. And so I really want to make that point clear. Don't think of it as, what, I'm going to spend $400 for this 2 hours of breakfast and decorating umbrellas? Yes, but that's going to keep on giving for quite some time. The other, and I'll mention this before we get to the Christmas one, you did a similar thing one Christmas. I can't remember which Christmas party, but we did a country club. We did a gingerbread house building contest. So you broke up the team into, teams, and we all built our own gingerbread house. And again, very creative. Everybody was working together, and it was a timed thing. So I think back on that one, even though I didn't get to be at the umbrella one, I think about the gingerbread house one, and had a similar feel to it and was very exciting. And
so that one must have been 2019. Because we didn't do Benihana then either, because that was right when COVID shutdowns were predicted that they were going to be happening.
Gotcha.
Because that was December of 2019.
Okay.
And so there's stuff literally in the air, if you will. And I think I ended up doing, we met at, so my kids do karate at this karate studio that I love, their little karate studio. It's a family-owned endeavor. And so I kind of reached out to them and was like, hey, could we do a self-defense class for my team? So everybody who wanted to do self-defense met up at like 8 o'clock at the karate studio. So we had it to ourselves from like 8 to 10. So for me, that was a win-win for all, because I think the team got a skill set they needed. They thoroughly enjoyed it and learned so much. I was able to support this family-owned business, which I always try to support because I'm like, mine is a small family-owned business, so I want to support. So it was just kind of a win-win. It was fun. It was different. I don't think anybody on the team had done a self-defense class before.
How valuable to be able to pass that off to them.
And then to like watch each other and support each other. So there's a lot of team building going on just in that aspect as well. And then we went to the country club and gingerbread houses were there. And we, I think, drew numbers so that these were the teams you were on. And it was just so much fun. It was fun. And then we ate lunch there. I think that's all we did there, right?
Yeah.
And so that was the Christmas party that year, was doing those creative
I'm
things.
glad you mentioned, I wanted the self-defense class to come out too, because that was one of those, again, even though you've got these calendar type things that you do each year, the variation is where some of that creativity comes in that I think will be helpful for listeners. I mean, the self-defense class, who would have thought of doing that as a group? But what a value. I mean, you've got a team full of women outside of your associates. They're women. And so that's a very valuable thing. And I remember them talking about that for quite some time. And then just to kind of keep it very neutral, there was an employee on your team that ended up having some things in life that happened that were a little bit nerve-wracking for her, where there was, again, an unhealthy person in her life that she was a little bit worried about. And she felt very prepared because of the self-defense class. And so very, very practical information. So anyway, I'm glad you mentioned that. And then it led to the gingerbread house building and lunch. And that was the Christmas party that year. So, okay. So I want to shift forward to what you did for Christmas this year. Because I feel like we started talking...
2020.
2020, sorry. We started talking kind of off the hinges about this months before, and I want you to share what we landed on.
So again, it started with the harebrained idea, and I can't remember what made me think of this, but because I came to you, remember, and you were like, what? I think there's most of the things that come out of my mouth.
It mostly starts that way, is like, wait, can you describe a little bit more for me there?
Yes, I can. So I can't remember what made me think of it, but it may have even been, honestly, it was probably, that jumping place that kids go to with the bouncy house things. And they had a wind machine, like the little cube box thing where it's a bunch of wind. And something so stupid, and the kids like put in a buck, and then like all these kids cram in there, and there's wind blowing, and there's hair everywhere, and they're all squealing, and it's fun. And I was like, how much fun is that? And then there's the one at Chuck E. Cheese that you go in, and there's tickets everywhere, and you're trying to collect the tickets. And it's like, oh, how many tickets am I going to come out with? I was like, that looks like so much fun. I was like, what if there was cash blowing around in there? And I was like, who wouldn't love to go into a wind machine and grab as much cash as you can? I was like, that would be so much fun to do. And in my mind, I was like, well, it's kind of a double. Like, we could have it to where, because when I started looking into, can you rent cash machines? How much do they cost? What is it? So it's kind of more than what I would have normally wanted to spend, was $500. And I was like, $500?
Just
and
for
then
the machine.
Just the machine. And I got to pay for the cash to go in there. I was like, yeah, I don't know about this. And how I sold myself on it was, well, we'll do it with maybe in the day that they're there. If I get the cash machine for like 4 hours or 6 hours, whatever it came with, my part will probably only be an hour or 2 hours. But what if we did a patient giveaway, like a referral raffle, and let a patient come in and try to win cash? And that could be used on social media and be a marketing thing. And so then it is paying for itself. In the end, we ended up not doing a patient one because I think my husband was like, well, patients grabbing cash, like somebody else could make the connection, or make it like, oh, well, this dental office, look at how much we pay them.
Yeah.
They've got cash. And I didn't really see it that way, but I was like, okay, I'm not going to argue that. That's fine. But, you know, all the people that think they've paid for our cars because they let us do a crown on them. So, so we didn't want, he was like, I just don't think that's good optics. And I was like, but it sounds like so much fun. Who gets to pull cash? And like, anyway, especially before Christmas, to have extra cash that your dentist just gave you. Yeah, but then they're going to say they turned around and paid it right back to your office. I'm like, all right, fine. So anyway, but that was the kind of the mindset. And last year with the COVID shutdowns and the strapped for cash, everybody strapped for cash, the business has been shut down, all of those things. So I think for me in the past, I've always kind of done a Christmas gift that the team has kind of more or less gotten accustomed to. And I was like, this is going to give me an opportunity to shake that up. Let me take advantage of this opportunity. So I think I came up with, and again, it was, I hope I can explain it without being too all over the place. But in my mind, I was like, you know, we don't have a lot of money. Production was like dismal this year. So I'm going to relay that to the team. Like, don't expect a normal Christmas gift. There's no funds for that. We're all just lucky we all still have our jobs, to be honest. So I said that to the team. I said, so I will try to do whatever I can do to make sure you get a good Christmas party. And we're going to play a game. And it's almost going to be like a raffle game that you earn tickets. And the more number of tickets you have a better opportunity to win a prize. And that's all I said to the team. So then we started, this sounds crazy. Like as I'm thinking back on it, it sounds insane. Stay with me, listeners. Stay with me. It worked out really well, I think.
I think it worked great.
So in order to earn a ticket, I think you could earn a ticket in 3 different ways. One way was I think there was going to be like 3 or 4 pay periods between when we announced the contest to when the contest was going to happen. And if you had a pay period where I did not have to adjust your hours, in other words, you remembered to clock in and out on your own, which you should be doing anyway, but I didn't have to make adjustments, necessary. Then you automatically earned a ticket. I will tell you, I've never had so many no adjustments. I'm like, aha, you can do it. You just choose not to. You choose to make my life harder to go back and adjust these. So people got tickets for that. The next way you could earn a ticket was I had several offices that I thought, because I've got several ladies in my office that my office is the only place they've ever worked. And I always tell them you were spoiled rotten. Like if you went to another office and saw something different. So I encouraged them to go look at different offices.
To go observe.
And that would earn you a ticket if you did that on your own time. So it wasn't me paying for you to go, but that was on your own time, that you're not working Monday, you're not working this day. Go arrange for that. I'll help you arrange it. You just need to tell me, then you get a ticket for that. And then the last way, again, was not being clocked in, but we're members of ADA, blah, 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 blah. So there's all of these online ways you can learn. If you have always wanted to learn more about billing, then you can get on Dentrix and take one of their Dentrix courses. So it's my way of saying, why do I always have to spoon feed you this? You know you don't know anything about a topic, but these resources are there. Go learn it. You've got plenty. You could do it. You could listen to something over lunch. You could do whatever. So that will earn you a ticket. And it was very telling, the people that are your go-getters on the team. I had one who earned 17 tickets, and then I had others that earned 2. And for me, it was kind of like, okay, so you won't do it for yourself. Why should I do it for you?
Right.
Why should I constantly train you and do all of that when you're not willing to enhance your own skill set when given the opportunity and you know there's going to be a prize involved?
Right.
So it's just interesting to see those who had very low tone. You have very low tone in the office anyway. And the ones that like, go get it, went and got it.
They're not only going to excel, but they are going to excel at any challenge that you give them.
Right. So then the day of, leading up to, I ended up doing lunch, booking it at a restaurant that's kind of a quiet restaurant near the office that wasn't too expensive, but still nice enough. And we were still dealing with pandemic times, so it was enough that I knew we would really be the only ones in the restaurant at that time. I also, one of the girls, I can't remember exactly, but somehow it came about where she was like, these blow-dry bars. She's like, I've always wanted to go to one of those blow-dry bars. I was like, you've never been? And she's like, no. And I said, it's fun. Not that I've gone a ton of times, but I think she's the one who helped me arrange. I was supposed to get a headshot taken, and I didn't do my hair or makeup, and I assumed that the photographer would be able to airbrush everything, and she didn't, and these pictures were hideous. And so we had to reschedule this headshot, and my team set up for me to go to a blow. They're like, you're going to go spend money. Go get your hair done because you're a disaster. So, and I had so much fun at the blow-dry bar. You know, you feel glamorous, and it wasn't that expensive. So I was like, you know what? That's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the blow-dry bar at like 7 a.m. when nobody else is going to be there. So COVID compliance and not worried about strangers coming in and out. Everybody's going to feel glam. Then we're going to go to the office. We're going to play the game, which I'll finish telling you all about the game. Then we're going to go to lunch. And then we're going to go to a cocktail making class. My sister had done that through her company. I was like, that would be so much fun to go have cocktails, learn how to make something, get our hands in there, and we'll all look gorgeous because
doing
we
it.
just gone to the blow-dry bar. So albeit I used a lot of my eggs in that one bat, like all my creative things that I could have spread apart, but it was such a fun day. By the way, we also do Christmas party every year. We do Secret Santa. And in order to do Secret Santa well, we set a cap of what's everybody comfortable with, under $20 or whatever it is.
Right.
And then we draw for names, and we do where you have everybody fills out 3 things that you would like to receive. So on mine, for example, it's I like funky socks, I like funny mugs, and I love pens. So nothing that's too expensive, but that's very doable for somebody. And so we do that at the restaurant. So it was an action-packed day. So we met up at the blow-dry bar, and everybody got their hair did and looked good. And it wasn't too expensive. I think that whole thing was maybe $400, something like that. With tip and all of that. And there was a dozen of us. So it was very affordable. Then we went to the office. I had my husband meet the people there to hook up the wind machine booth. And so we had, if you got like from 0 to 5 tickets, you got your turn in the booth for 10 seconds. And it was coupons. It was vouchers for 2 hours of PTO, $10, $5. I think the whole amount in the machine was like $100.
Yeah.
So you got to go in and get your turn to grab, but you only earned 5 tickets. So you may have come out with a voucher for a $5 Target gift card and a voucher for 2 hours of PTO and $5. So you kind of got so it was like $20 that you got.
Right.
But it was still fun, and the experience of being in this wind machine and the whole office like cheering you on.
I just
and
try to grab these treats.
these treats. And then we went to the cocktail making class that was apparently...
Will you go up before you go on to the cocktail class? So the
Yes.
1 to 5 tickets got this. What did the second set
Because
get?
I didn't want it to be where the person who went out of her way to earn 15 tickets, 17 tickets, 10 tickets, to get the same pool of gift as the people who got 2 tickets. So I didn't want it to be like that. So I made it harder on myself. But yes, this is the amount that's going to go in there. So then for the 5 to 10 people, there was actually like $300 to be gotten, and no $1 bills,
Right.
and whatever it was. So those people came out with more
Better.
cash,
Yeah, more
$70
stuff.
as opposed to the 20 or the 5. And then I think there was like 2 people who earned more than 10 tickets.
Yeah.
So in their pulling pool, there was no 5s, no 10s, no 20s. It was all 50s and 100s. And it was all $10 gift cards. Even then, like the person who had 17 tickets probably made $150.
Yeah.
Was the most value that was pulled out of that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't too crazy expensive.
Right.
Blow dry bar wasn't too crazy expensive. Lunch wasn't. Lunch was like another $200 or $300. So usually at Benihana, I'm spending a lot more.
Compared to what you...
Yeah. Well, let me take that back. No, Benihana is not more expensive. The gift that I give was far more expensive.
Yes.
Than here. Yeah, you walked out with $20, but it's a pandemic year. You walked out with something, but how we made you feel. So it goes back to that. You were made to feel like you were very well thought about, because at the blow dry bar we had bagels and mimosas, and we were all getting our hair done, looking good together. We went back to the office. We're all grabbing for money and cheering each other on. We go have lunch at this Italian place that wasn't super pricey. And then we went to go make cocktails together. Yeah. Now, the cocktail bar, again, from a COVID thing, we were the only ones in the bar. What bars open at 3 p.m.?
Right.
None. Unbeknownst to me, it was a very bougie cocktail bar in Dallas. I had no idea. But my associate was like... Oh, I mentioned to my family member that we went to this bar, and those people were like, what? That is an elite place to go. And I was like, well, there you go.
There we go.
But we were there. We were making drinks together and drinking together and giggling together. And so the whole thing, doing all of that, I think was still cheaper than my original Christmas with the gifts.
With Benihana and the gifts. Yeah. Yeah. And again, it does sound like so much creativity in one day, but all power packed together. It created a very different experience. And to your point, it was the year to do it because it was a pandemic year. Let's really shake things up. I think one of the things I loved about that whole day too is the illuminating side that you got of, okay, this kind of confirms some things. These are my overachievers. These are the ones that, are going to take a task and run with it. But even the team members that got the 2 or 3 tickets, it was still valuable to you, even if that was just I didn't have to change your time clock. It's teaching them a valuable lesson of how important that is because it dictated how much time they got in that wind tunnel. So it was still beneficial to you, and then just lots of team building and team bonding throughout the whole day.
And the fun of, especially in a pandemic year, to go, I was taken care of.
Yeah.
I had a very fun day. My boss saw me. I felt appreciated. I loved my teammates. And we do our Christmas party at the beginning of December before things get really crazy. So for me to have that goodwill and because we know we're about to work our tails off on
Christmas
break coming up. We're all going to probably be hating each other by the end of that break. But we all just reminded each other why we love each other and how much fun we had. And so we get through all of that. And then I hit them again in January with something pampering to say, hey, focus on you and all of that. So it is strategic in that regard.
Yeah. And I think that's, for all of our people listening, it's just a challenge to hear all of these ideas. Our goal in this podcast was really to throw out so many of these great random ideas, and for you to be able to take that and then go, okay, what's a starting point? And maybe that's a simple potluck. Maybe that's, I'm at least going to do a Christmas, thing this year, and I'm going to figure out how to make that, fun and valuable. So just pick a starting point. I think your calendar has grown over the years, and you've been able to do so many creative things. I don't want that to feel like a pressuring point to listeners. Our point is pick a point. Get started. Team building is critical right now from a retention standpoint. People want to go to a workplace environment that they enjoy and that they feel valued, appreciated, and seen. Team building is one of the easiest ways to do that. All right. Thanks for sharing all your harebrained ideas today. People are going to hear them now. How's that?
They're going to go, yeah, we don't know what you're talking about now. You're definitely out there.
Thanks for joining the conversation today. We hope that you are comforted in knowing that you are not alone, but we also hope that you're walking away with some really great tips and tricks to try in your practice. We value your feedback, so please take a few moments to rate and review the podcast. Finally, we want to make sure that we're covering the topics that matter to you. So track us down on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and let us know what topics you want us to cover. As always, please know that we are rooting for you today as you manage your dental drama.